Hi, this is Steve Cordy for More EV. I'm reviewing a hand using Poker Snowy. So the quiz question for this video is: should we be bluffing all in here on the river with 8-9 of clubs? So no equity. Brief description of the action so far: we've 3-bet from the big blind versus the cut-off. We Cbet flop and turn. Now trying to decide whether to bet the river or not. So take a minute to decide and perhaps pause the video. To get there, I need to go back through the action. So cut off opens, and we decide to 3-bet from the big blind with suited connector. Snowy saying he slightly prefers a call, so that's fine, given that he's in the cut-off and not in the button. I think 3-betting here for variety is going to be fine sometimes too. So our opponent calls, and on this flop, obviously we have a nice draw, and king is a card we can represent, so we decide to bet, which Snowy agrees with. Our opponent calls, and on this turn decide to barrel again. It's close between that and check in. In our opponent's flop calling range, obviously there's going to be King X, which I don't think is folding on the turn, but there's going to be some 10X as well. And obviously we have our equity still with our flush draw. So I lean towards calling, towards betting, but I suppose our decision to bet depends on how we're going to behave on the river. Opponent calls, and on a blank river then, what should we be doing? So Poker Snowy's giving it as very close. Yeah, between checking and going all in. I decided to go all in, but in doing so, my gut instinct felt that it was right, but I don't know, it feels a bit vulnerable because our opponent's calling range on the turn. There's a lot of 2 pairs in there. Yeah, it's just the fact that there's so many combos of 2 pairs. There's also straights that I'm not expecting to get them to fold. What I'm trying to do is get like 1 pair plus draw to fold. So the key point is how many like weak 1 pair plus draw type hands are in our opponent's calling range. So like I felt on a turn like there was quite a lot of those, but that's going to be the critical question really in determining whether to barrel this river. So like your 10 jack type hands, if he's calling with a lot of those on the turn, which he probably is, then there's going to be a lot of fold equity in barreling the river. So as you can see, Snowy says it's pretty neutral between checking and going all in. So like, you know, in the game it's going to depend on your reads on your opponent, that type of thing. But just as like an illustrative tool, I think it's interesting to look at what Snowy thinks our opponent's hand range is. So you can see the probabilities here of each type of combination of hands. So obviously our opponent's never folding a straight 3 of a kind. I don't think he's folding 2 pair either. But he may fold some of the 1 pairs or like high card. So if we break down the 1 pairs, you can see the probabilities by type of pair. So let's just say to simplify that he's never folding a king, although I think sometimes he may, and that he's always folding a queen although sometimes you may call with a queen, like ace queen, but just to simplify. So if we were to like work out what our fold percentage we need to get for this bet is, we get 42% by dividing 118 by the sum of 118 and 165. Gives us 42% required success. So do we think we'll get 42% just by looking at these probabilities then of hands in our opponent's range? So obviously he's folding any non-pair, and let's say he's folding all his sevens through queens, and just to simplify, he's not folding a king. As you can see there, you're going to get basically 41 plus 14, 54 minus 6. You're going to get about 48% success on what Poker Snowy feels that our opponent's hand range is, with a couple of simplifications like this. So the 48% that we think we're going to get is greater than the 42% we needed, suggesting to me that a bet is going to be good. It's an approximation, like I said. Obviously sometimes he's going to be calling with a queen, feeling like we're bluffing, but we know from this large number of Queen X and Jack X type hands that have called on the turn, basically like the more of those that are in our opponent's turn calling range, the better it is for us to justify a bluff. So yeah, that's it for this lesson. Hope you found that useful. Thanks very much.